dear students. I am Dr. Shikha Pandey, Associate Professor from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today, in this lecture series of this solid waste management, I'll discuss about the separation and processing of solid waste. So, first of all, come on this slide. This will be like this is the whole story of the story regarding this to waste management. So, first of all, now we are at this stage like processing and it's a transformation. Processing of waste at its either its location, processing of waste either the place it will be generated. So today I'll discuss about the processing of waste either in the place where it will be generated or it will be or at the MRF location site, material recovery facility site. So today and how this processing should be take place, how this processing is done by the person, or how it will be taken from waste generation site to the material recovery facility site. So first of all, it will be like waste segregation part will come. Because of segregation only, then this processing and transformation will take place. So first we will discuss about the segregation of waste, how this segregation part is completed either at the waste generation source or at the final recovery material recovering facility site. So now let's discuss about this waste generation. So waste segregation means what? It is just, if we will talk just a meaning of the segregation, it is mean the segregation of the waste at the source level, at the generation level. So the waste generation segregation can be defined as the processing of identifying, classifying, dividing and sorting of garbage and waste product in an effort to reduce, reuse and recycle material. This segregation will take you towards this 3R. 3R, we know that 3R means reuse, recycle and reduce. This is about this 3R. Why this waste segregation is there? This waste segregation can be defined as it is mainly the processing of identifying, classifying, dividing and sorting of garbage, sorting of waste and its product in a order to achieve this 3R. 3R's refers to recycle, reuse and reduce. That's why this waste segregation part is there. It can be defined as the process of identifying, classifying, dividing and sorting of garbage and waste product in an effort to reduce, reuse and recycle material. So this is this waste segregation part is very much important, because this waste segregation is a process. It will leads you toward the identification. First we'll identify wet waste and dry waste. Dry waste. Next is to identification, and then it's a classification, and in either biodegradable waste or non-biodegradable waste, and then it's a dividing, and then again sorting of garbage, sorting also garbage and taking it to it's a final recovery facility, material recovery facility site, that is MRF site, and it is an effort. It should be done. It has to be done to reduce. It is an effort for the reduction, reuse and recycle of material. So in order to segregate waste properly, it is very important to correctly identify the type of waste that is generated. First point is we have to identify the types of waste. Types of waste is an important part. Type of waste, and then for the purpose of waste segregation at source, waste is identified and classified into 7 categories depending on their biological, physical and chemical properties. So first point is about segregation has to be done. Segregation will denotes, segregation means identification, classification and dividing and sorting of garbage in order to achieve 3R, that is reuse, recycle and reduce. And this should be done at, it is a very important first to correctly identify that which type of waste that is generated. And for the purpose of waste segregation at the source, waste is identified. First thing is that the all waste means garbage is there. That is not waste, this is garbage. And this garbage has been divided into 7 categories. And based on the category, this category is on the basis of its biological, physical and chemical characteristics of the waste. That's why this 7 category is there. So segregation means what? Segregation will defined as like the identification and classification and dividing and sorting of garbage and waste product in an effort to either to reduce, reuse and recycling of materials, waste material. And it should be like, in order to segregate waste appropriately, it is important to correctly identify the type of waste that is generated. And for the purpose of waste segregation at the source, waste is identified and classified into 7 categories depending on their biological, physical and chemical characteristics. This waste has been divided into 7 categories. We'll discuss about all these 7 categories in next slide. So this 7 category has been divided on the basis of its physical, chemical and biological characteristics of the waste that is generated. Now the 7 category, first one is like dry waste. Dry waste is mainly, it will include like recyclable and non-recyclable waste which is recyclable and non-recyclable. So this is called as dry waste. Dry waste will altogether, it consists of recyclable and non-recyclable material. And dry waste include items. This dry waste will include items like bottles, cans, clothing, plastic, wood, glass, metal and some papers. So all those waste that is dry in nature, or it will be first, it is a sorting into a dry waste. All the waste that is dry, like the waste that is bottles, cans, clothing, plastic, wood, glass, metal and paper, all these are the dry waste. So first of all, it has to be divided into dry waste category. And from dry waste, there is again 2 categories there, that is recyclable and non-recyclable. So those material, no problem with either it will be recyclable or non-recyclable. It should be categorized into the dry waste. Next is like a green waste. Wet waste. Wet waste is those waste that are the mostly the item that are organic food items. Obviously the waste that is wet in nature. So this is mostly the food item or those who are organic in nature. Soiled food wrappers, hygienic products, yard waste, tissue and paper towels, as well as any other soiled item that would contaminate the recyclable. Means all waste, those which is wet in nature, either it is a food waste, soil food waste, hygienic product, yard waste, tissue, paper towel and any other soiled item that would contaminate the recyclable. Maybe it will contaminate the recyclable waste. Recyclable means which waste that is dry in nature. So all the waste, it should be separated. Wet and dry should be separated, because if any wet waste is there in the dry waste, then it will contaminate all the dry waste. So first step is to identify dry and wet waste. Next is the sanitary waste. It refers to all liquid and solid waste that is originating from human and its activity and human based activity. So sanitary waste is a liquid waste or solid waste that is generated from either from the washrooms or from the toilet. So these are the sanitary waste. So these are 3 categories. First is dry waste, wet waste and sanitary waste. Dry waste will refers to the waste that is recyclable and non-recyclable in nature. And wet waste is like all food item, organic food item, soiled food wrapper, hygienic product, yard waste, tissue and paper towels. Next is the sanitary waste. It will refers to all liquid or solid waste originating from human and human activities. This is the sanitary waste. And next is the hazardous household waste. Hazardous household waste will refers to all household products that contains corrosive, toxic, ignitability or reactive ingredient other than used oil. So next is the hazardous waste. Hazardous waste, as already we have discussed about the characteristics of hazardous waste, means TCLP. TCLP is there. TCLP means what? Toxic, corrosive, ignitive and that is having very high potential at risk. So this is the characteristics of this hazardous waste. Means what? Toxic. It will be the waste which is corrosive in nature, toxic in nature, ignitable and highly reactive. So these, any material that will possess any of these characteristics or all these 4 characteristics like corrosive, toxic, ignitable, and reactive. So these four characteristics of this hazardous waste: corrosive, toxic, ignitable, and reactive. So if it will contain either of any characteristics, it will contain all the four characteristics, then this type of waste is called as hazardous waste. And other than the used oils is not added into this category. Next is like e-waste. E-waste is also very much generated in our garbage. Like it will refers to all kind of electronic waste like old calculator, some monitor or battery. So all these things that is generated from a household activity and that is electronic in nature is coming under the e-waste. Next is the hazardous waste. First thing is like hazardous household waste, and next is general hazardous waste. It will not consider only hazardous, only household. All these waste from the like commercial sources is also considered in this category. So commercial sources. So let's discuss. This hazardous waste will refers to all item, products, byproducts that contain corrosive, toxic, ignitable, or reactive ingredients. So this is called as hazardous waste. It will refers to all items, products, byproducts that contain corrosive, toxic, ignitable, or reactive ingredients is called as hazardous waste. Next is the inert waste. Inert waste means will refers to the waste items that are neither chemically or biologically reactive, but it cannot be decomposed easily also. So this type of waste is called as inert waste. Means this is not a much chemically active, but it cannot be decomposed also. So it is a waste and it is inert. Inert means what? You don't know its characteristics, how to decompose it, or what is its physical characteristic, chemical characteristics, and you don't know how to decompose this waste. So this type of waste item can either neither chemically or nor biologically reactive and decompose easily. This is called as inert waste. Next is the why this segregation, the benefit, the significance of this waste segregation part. This waste segregation is a very much critical because of the fact that certain type of waste can be hazardous and contaminate the environment if not managed correctly. Obviously, to save the environment, this should be done. This segregation is very much important. When waste is unsegregated, it may get contaminated with different type of waste being stored there. Obviously, if it will be unsegregated, then lots of nuisance will created, and it can contaminate with different type of waste, other type of waste that are being sorted together, that has been stored together. Waste segregation is always a step one for all type of waste management solution that may be implemented either on individual level or community level. So this waste segregation is a step one for all type of waste management. Obviously, waste segregation should be first step for this waste management practices, because segregation is the first part. And in nowadays in India, what happened, this segregation part is not doing properly. If we are talking about processing, we are talking about it's a final disposal, many practices is there, but if segregation will not take place and segregation is not doing in a right manner, then it should be this waste management practices you cannot achieve. So that this is the first step towards the management and solution that may be implemented either at individual level or community level. So it should be implemented either on the individual level or community level. That's why this segregation is a very important part. This segregation is always a step one for all type of waste management solution that may be implemented either on individual level or community level. Means this should be forcefully implemented either in a community level or in an individual level. That's why this segregation part is too much important, because if this segregation can be done at household at its originating place only, then this all steps are very easy. And if this mixed waste is there, then you cannot achieve its proper disposal types, or you cannot achieve its processing also. That's why this segregation is a very important part. And when If the waste cannot be segregated, and if it is unsegregated, then it is going to contaminate other waste also, and you will this R3 step is there, 3R is there: reduce, reuse and recycle. This R3 is there: reduce, reuse and recycle. So this you cannot achieve, and this is not waste management, proper waste management practices. So this segregation is a very much important, as from point of view of its a final disposal, or it's a waste reduction, or for its a recycling, or for to achieve this 3R. That's why this segregation is too much important. Now comes to the next point. Then when the waste segregation at source can reduce up to 250 million tons of dump from entering into the landfill. See this, you can see this is a difference. We can say that, like, if this segregation of the waste we can done at its generation part, at its source, it can reduce it up to 250 tons of dump. It can be reduces, because if this thing, obviously this segregation can be done at its generation part, then directly this waste will go towards its recycling MRF recovery site, and then no waste will go towards this landfill. So 250 ton of dump we can save entering into the landfill. And you can see these are the pictures of different colors. Color code is there for every type of waste. So this green color is there for wet waste. Wet waste refers to the organic waste. Organic waste. And blue bins is there. Blue bins will refers to the dry waste. Dry waste means like paper waste, recyclable or non-recyclable type of waste. Next is the red color bin, that is sanitary waste. Sanitary waste means like a waste that is obtained from household activities, either from hospital and everything. And this is the e-waste. E-waste will refers to the hospitals and washroom, the waste that is generated from all these things. E-waste is like all unused electronic waste is coming under this e-waste, and it is like old calculator, monitor, everything. So these four parts are there. Here, if this segregation can be done, it's a originating place, or it's a source, then it can be reduced up to 250 tons of dump from entering into the landfills. And this four color is there: red, blue, red, green, blue and black. Green is for wet waste like organic waste, blue bins is for dry waste, red is for sanitary waste, and black is for e-waste. Now comes to the different type of waste. What happened to all this type of waste? So organic waste. Organic waste, what is there for this organic waste? Organic waste includes all the waste generated from kitchen. It will include waste generated from kitchen waste and these material disintegrate quickly and can be used to manure for plants or crops. So this is like R3. R3 is there, 3R is there. For this step is following, like kitchen waste is there in organic waste. So this kitchen waste can be disintegrates quickly, and it can be used as manure for plants and crops. Next is the non-biodegradable waste that cannot be biodegradable. So these will include items like plastic, textile, aluminium, paper, electronic waste, metal scrap and styrofoams. This material takes years to break down and cannot be used as manure, or can only recycling. It should be recycling can be done for this non-biodegradable waste. It can be used as a recycling, and this organic waste can be used as a compost. Composting should be done for this organic waste. Recycling is there. Then sanitary waste. Sanitary waste include items as sanitary napkins, menstrual cup, diapers, bandage, syringes and needles. They don't require a specialized treatment. They cannot be, it can go for the landfill only, because, or deep burial, this sanitary waste. So these are the different type of waste what we can do to achieve this 3R. So first, organic waste. Organic waste can be converted towards the manure and composting should be done. For non-biodegradable waste like the metal scrap, plastics, these we can do recycling. And for sanitary waste, we can do, it's either landfill or deep burial should be there. It cannot be converted into a manure or anything. So there are three types of waste. Now comes to the next type, that is segregation of waste. If we segregate waste, then we are thinking that what happened to this segregates to this waste segregated. What happened to the waste that can be segregated? So first is the, like if we have segregated organic waste, then organic waste can be go for the composting. And then next is the amount of waste that goes to landfill site is reduced considerably. Obviously this is like composting is like it's a reduction, and then composting is like recycling or conversion of waste. And this is the amount of waste, those waste that is going to a landfill, it can be considered under the reduce. Next is the plastic, papers and metal can be reused and resold to the scrap dealer for recycling. So this is like reuse. This is reuse and this is recycle. So obviously first point is the organic waste. Organic waste can be composted. Obviously the organic waste can be composted, so can be converted into a manure. So it can be, it is called as recycling. Next is the amount of waste that goes to landfill and it is reduced, so it is called as reduction. Obviously waste reduction is there. Next is the plastic, papers and metals that can be reused and sold to scrap dealer. It is called as reuse or recycling. So this waste segregation is basically done to achieve these 3R. These 3R to achieve these 3R, like reduce, reuse and recycling. Only this way the waste reduction will be reduced, the waste generation will be reduced. So 3R is there: reduce, reuse and recycle. Reduce, reuse and recycle. Reduce, reuse and recycle. Obviously reduce is, reduction is there, reuse is there and recycling is there. That's why this waste segregation is very important. Now comes to the next point, what happened with this wet waste and dry waste. Wet waste and dry waste, what we are doing with this wet waste and dry waste? First is for wet waste, compost process is there, like composting process is there. For wet waste, composting is there, and for dry waste, recycling is there. So wet waste is like all those waste that is considered under the biodegradable characteristic, biodegradable waste. So these two type of waste is there. First is wet waste and dry waste. Wet waste will is going for the composting process. Compost process will be followed. For dry waste, either reuse is there or recycle is there. So for composting, which is the biodegradable components which can be done composting. So biodegradable components, like first one is the coconut shell is there, vegetable waste, fruit waste, wood, eggshell, nail, hair leaves, tea leaves, soiled cotton, tissue, cooked food waste, dust and bones. So all these are basically which type of waste? Those who are organic in nature. These are called as organic waste. Wet waste is the organic waste. Organic waste. So those waste, vegetable waste, either like a vegetable waste or fruit waste or wood or some eggshell, nail, hair, leaves, all these waste is going to the composting process. So this is called as wet waste. Just like that, dry waste is there. Dry waste will refers to the, either it will go for the reuse or recycling. Recycling means like paper, plastic, metal, glass, rubber, thermocol, styrofoam, fabric, leather, resin, wood, anything, means those waste that can be used for the recycling, recyclable waste. So as we have discussed this segregation, why this segregation is important. So this segregation can be done. It will leads you toward the 3R. First is reduce, reuse and recycle. So for this wet waste is like composting process we can use. So composting is like reuse, or it is like a reduction or recycling of waste also. Next is the dry waste. Dry waste is like paper waste, plastic waste. So all these waste will go to the material recovery facility site for either it's a recycling of the waste. And the example of this recyclable waste is the paper waste, plastic waste, metal, glass, rubber, thermocol, styrofoam, fabric, leather, resin, wood. Means those waste all it can be extended without, means those waste that cannot not be decomposed by its own, or so it can be used as a for the recycling purpose only. That's why these two major category of waste is there: wet waste and dry waste. Wet waste is going for the composting process, and dry waste is going for the reuse and recycling process. Now comes to the next point: segregation of biomedical waste. First, biomedical waste segregation. What to do with this segregation of biomedical waste? Because this biomedical waste is a very much hazardous waste. So biomedical waste is again divided into two categories, like non-infected and infected. Non-infected is like cytotoxic drugs or chemical or some expired medicines. So this can be stored in a black color container. In black color container, it will be directly goes through the secured landfill. It is via some chemical treatment will be there, and after this chemical treatment, it is going to the secured landfill and come out to this point, that is infected waste. Infected waste is like infected waste. So infected waste is like, first is the solid waste, like some dressing, infected dressing, pop cast, anatomical waste, human anatomical waste, then infected plastic, then sharps, like some syringes. So these are four categories is there. First is the solid waste, anatomical waste, infected plastics, and sharps. Solid waste is like infected dressing and popcast. Anatomical waste is like some placental, some pathology waste, or some body parts. Next is the infected plastic, like syringe, gloves, and some plastic waste. So and then sharp needles and cutout glasses. So first is the red color beans is there. After this red color beans, what we should do? Autoclaving is there. Autoclaving is there to kill all the microorganisms, and then deep burial is there. Next is the yellow beans is there, which is human anatomical waste, and this is again going for the deep burial. Deep burial means like secured landfill. And then blue color is there, that will be like infected, some syringe, gloves and everything. It will be disinfected with 1% chlorine solution. It will be disinfected with 1% chlorine solution. Then recycling will be there for all this, because it is in plastic. Plastic cannot be decomposed. So these are all plastic containers, all which is made up by plastic. So after after making it disinfected with 1% chlorine solution, it is going for the recycling. Then sharp needles and cutout glasses. This can be stored under the white plastic container, and sharp pit, it will be goes to other sharp pit. So this is the whole picture of this biomedical waste generation and its management, where we are going to store, what is the disposal is there, and how we are segregating the biomedical waste. Because the segregation is the as we are already discussing about the segregation of the waste. Come out to the waste separation. How this waste separation is doing? So waste separation is doing by the either at the source of generation or either at the material recovering facility. So if we are doing at the source of generation, then it should be done like manual, because the generation amount is low. But if it is doing at the MRF site, means mechanical methods is doing, because they are using some mechanical method to segregate the waste, because the waste generation is very much high. There too much waste is there, so that this separation can be done at the source of generation or either material recovery facility. Now we'll discuss about the material recovery facility. What is this material recovery facility? So the material recovery facility can also be known as material reclamation facility or material recycling facility. So converting a material from the source is called as MRF. MRF is a place where waste collected from the doorstep in a segregated manner is further segregated, and various components of recyclable waste recover from it for recycle or resale. Obviously, it is a place where the waste collected from the doorstep is in a segregated manner is further segregated, and various components of recyclable waste recovered from it for its recycle or resale. It is a specialized plant that receives, separate and prepares recyclable materials for marketing to end manufacturer. It is a site where waste can be collected from the doorstep in a segregated manner, and then it's further segregated into a various components. Many instruments will be used, and recyclable waste recovered from it for the recycle or resell. Then it's either it will be go for the recycle or resell. It is a specialized plant that receive, separate and prepare recyclable materials for marketing to end user manufacturer. So this is about the MRF site. What this MRF site means? It can be named as material recovery facility, material reclamation facility, or material recycling facility. It is a facility where waste is collected from the doorstep either in a segregated manner, and then again secondary segregation is done, and it will be converted into various component of recyclable waste, recover from it for recycle or resell. And it is a specialized plant is there that will be specialized, and that is going to receive, then it's a separate and then prepare some recyclable materials for either for marketing or for end user manufacturer. So this is about MRF. Next we'll discuss about which type of instruments, what type of mechanical devices they are using in this MRF site. Next is the many town and municipalities offer recycling services that pick up material like paper, plastic and cardboard from the curbs. From the curb material collection facility, curb collection method, some MRF site are there. This site is going to collect recycling services that pick up materials like paper, plastic and cardboard. And once the recyclable material are picked up from the curb on trash day, they are generally transported to the material recovery facility. Once it will be collected or it will be picked up from the curb or trash, it is generally transported to the material recovery facility. And the recyclable materials is like those material that will include all plastic containers. Obviously plastic container and bottles cannot be decomposed, so it is going towards this recycling facility. So the recyclable materials that is include plastic containers and bottles, and some fiber material are there such as like phone books and newspaper. So this is this is all about this MRF site, how this MRF site is working, and how this MRF material recovering facility we can utilize to convert all the waste into some useful material for this recovery facility site. And it is, I think it is located in every municipality, and they are collecting the either from the curb service or from the hall container system, and they are converting to it towards the by this secondary separation and converting it to in any useful product. Now, the principle behind this material recovery facility means which type of principle is involved. So, first, what happened? All mixed waste are separated. Obviously, secondary separation is there. Secondary separation is there. Secondary segregation is there. Segregation is there. So, all mixed waste are separated based on their source for recovery of material. And next step is the process depend upon degree of source of separation of waste, and the nature and design of each unit of process accommodate the physical characteristics of the source material. And resource recovery play an important role in the economies of the developing nation. Obviously resource recovery, last step is the resource recovery. Resource recovery first is like secondary segregation is done, and it should be the process is depend upon the degree of source of separation. Source of separation, and the nature and design of each unit process accommodate the physical and chemical characteristics of the source material. It will accommodate all the physical and chemical characteristics of the waste. Physical and chemical characteristics of waste. So this is all about the principle behind this material recovery facility. This is like a secondary separation of the waste, and then it's a process depend upon the degree of sources separation of waste, and the nature of design of each unit process accommodate the physical and chemical characteristics of the source material. And then resource recovery plays an important role in the economy of the developing nation. These are the references of the some of the textbook. which you can follow to study for the further study of all these topics. And thank you for today's lecture. And next class I'll discuss about the some mechanical instruments that can be used for this separation of waste. And this waste separation and segregation is very important. So in next class I'll teach you about the waste separation by some instruments. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.